Hey guys, welcome back to Sword of Convallaria. In today's video, we're over in the Tower of Conquest because as you can see, I'm into floor 7 and I cleared floor 6. And I want to show you guys the full free-to-play team that I used to do this. Now, in my previous video where I was speaking about teams, people were asking me if I could show some demonstrations. So that's what I did this for. I did a full free-to-play team, and when I say full free-to-play, it means I was using only characters you get from free or epic characters. I know some people may be missing some of these epic characters, but eventually you've got to have some leeway in this. So I will go ahead and show you guys the replay, and then I'll show you guys the builds of the characters so you can get an idea. Massive shout out to the comments as well for letting me know about this like saved records where I could actually save this. So as you can see, we are using the team of Suppression. We've got Mytha in here as well. Angel, Divine Grace, and Lash is the additional one. Now, Lash is very much an MVP style thing from this one. I just wanted to quickly show you guys Lash in this one and show you why I brought her. So, essentially, she has this ability which you can pick up here, which puts life loss on the enemy. Now, this life loss actually does way more damage than I initially thought it would. Unfortunately, it is on a 5-turn cooldown, so you got to be very careful. I was trying to line it up to get a big AoE of this to get as much damage as possible out of it. She also has really good range on this ability with piercing damage and stuff like that, and she has a shield break. Now, she does have a supportive kit that I probably could have spec'd into one of her supporting abilities instead of this one, but at the end of the day, I just experiment. I don't look up builds or anything like that. I just go through my gut and what I think, and that's what I'm going to go with most of the time. So that is my Lash build, and she just has extra piercing damage, but really it's this life loss damage that was so huge on her in this battle. That combined with the rest of the team having 3 knockback units, allowing me to knock off a lot of the enemies. And that is where, when we go back to this one and look at my team, and we look at the team that I actually used for this replay, you can see that I went with 3 knockbacks. We got Suppression who has a knockback, we got Mytha who has a knockback, and we got Divine Grace who has a knockback. That was our main strat, and then the rest of it was the damage was coming from Lash, and then obviously we've got a healer in there as well. And keep in mind, with this one, I ran the standard, like I said, you run a tank, a healer, and a DPS, and in this one, Lash was actually my DPS because I'm using that life loss damage to actually tick down the enemies, and then the other 2 spots were pure utility for units that had knockback, and I wanted to use Suppression for an extra protection for my team. Now, you will see that I do a misplay in this one with Suppression and my healer positioning, where I had to basically do a rewind and let Suppression die for my healer so that my healer could live, and I actually go most of the battle without Suppression in my team, but by that time I had done most of the knocking off that I needed to do, and by that time I could kite around the map and make it work. So let's get into this. We'll just play it at 1x speed, and I'll show you guys the strategy that I used for this one. So I'm putting Mytha over here and I'm knocking that so we get the dodge. We can stand in this zone and dodge. Now, later on in the battle, you see my plan was to drag the enemies into that mist and then explode the mist, because if you hit the mist with an AoE, it explodes. However, I didn't realize it actually has a timer and it disappeared. So that killed one of my strategies for this battle. But there we go. So I move her over there. She's out of range of the archer. The archer can't target her. Now I'm hoping this guy comes up and gets into knockoff range so I can knock him into the water. So let's go here. So I just move him forward 1, because at this stage, I'm not really knowing what I'm going to do with him. So I just move him forward 1 position. It was probably a bad positioning anyway, but let's keep going. So they move. He goes down there. Cool beans. So now I move Lash back. And once again, these positionings, I'm not really having a plan because I'm waiting to see what the enemy does. I go ahead, I knock the barrel down. That gets the enemies burning. Obviously, using any on-field damage that you can is going to be beneficial. Then the archer comes up. I move my healer over here. Once again, still not knowing exactly where I need to position these guys quite yet. And then we go ahead, and now I use the tactical buff, the one that gives you 2 tile increased movement range, and after attack you can move 2 tiles again. That one is absolutely huge for this battle and a must have in my opinion for a lot of these hard stages. So that is how I managed to get over here with my Mytha and knock the archer into the water, which was very key, and that's also how I'm going to be able to use Suppression and move him over here and knock this guy off as well. So as you can see, that allowed me to get 2 knockoffs just due to basically having that talent activated. So then this guy comes up, which is cool. He puts his passive up. These guys are burning. You can see that burning damage doing a lot of work for me right there. And then this guy comes up. Let's keep going. Now this guy moves forward. And so my problem is this guy's positioning, and you'll see the error I make with my healer. I move her to the left in a minute. Let's just see what I do. So Lash, I use her ability to break through the shield, which is actually kind of handy. So that's where I did what I did there. And then boom, we get hit, but that's okay. I believe with him, I could, if I was at range, I believe that guy's reaction was a melee-based reaction. I'm not sure if it was a 2-tile based, but I think if I moved him back 1 tile, I could have knocked him off without taking damage. In the day, it's not too much of an issue. So let's keep going here. And then I move him out of the way. I moved my healer. Okay, no, sorry. It wasn't my healer that I had in a bad position. It was my Lash. So my Lash, I probably shouldn't have done that extra damage to this guy and just moved her out of the way, because this is where I'm going to have to sacrifice now, because this is one of the times I used the back play. Now, there you can see I used the other one, which is the single target attack from my talents to go ahead and blow up the barrel. Probably didn't really need that talent in here. Probably could have chosen the other one, but I just saw so many barrels and thought I'd get more use out of it. But let's keep going. So over here, you can see I'm moving back in to heal up and protect them in case they need protection, which is pretty safe. Then I have to, so the reason I did that is because last time, because he has a 3-tile move, so 1, 2, 3, and I actually had to do the rewind here because he actually killed Lash, and Lash was going to be my main source of damage in the late game once I've done knocking off. So I had to just sacrifice suppression, make him block that attack, and actually die for my Lash, unfortunately. So this guy puts his alertness out. Those guys still burning, which is absolutely fantastic on the damage. So there you go. You can see we get our preempt, then we get our revenge, then he revenges back again. So we actually got tapped. I was hoping he would survive there, but unfortunately we just had to do that. Otherwise we were going to lose Lash, and losing Lash was not what we could afford to do, and you'll see why in a minute. And now what we're doing is we're just kiting around the map. We're just trying to get them all into a group, and my idea is trying to get them close enough that I can put my life loss from Lash onto all of them, so that they all just start melting. We need it definitely on the boss, but ideally on more of them. So over here, I've lost the ability, my technique, my talent, where I get to move additionally after I attack. So that's why I'm moving around, just waiting for the cooldown on that to come back so that I can get it up again. So now I'm in a pretty good position. You can see I'm just running away. Hopefully they will all get into this staircase pretty soon. And so we're just kiting around. So now the boss goes there, he goes there, he goes there, which is a bit out of reach. What would have been ideal if this guy had 1 more movement range and got right next to them, but this is still really, really reasonable for me, because as you can see, now I've got 3 of them in a line, which is perfect for me to go ahead and target them with the life loss from Lash, and then use the additional talent to move her away. So there you go. That's me activating the talent. And then I do that, and now I get to move 2 away. And so I've been able to put that life loss on them and then get out of range, which is the big thing that you can do in this situation. So now I'm just going to continue to kite and let that damage roll in on them. So if you watch when they take their turn, how much health they lose at the end of the turn thanks to the life loss. So the boss moves. There you go. He loses 1,059. He moves, loses, like you can see they're losing a good chunk. And it's just a good way to be able to keep running away from the enemies, keeping them at bay, keeping in mind that we can't knock back this boss. So we're just trying to keep our range and keep the damage rolling in. You do have to pay attention to the amount of turns you're using. As you can see, that guy's already dead just from 2 ticks of that life loss, which is fantastic. Obviously, he had some initial damage taken as well, but we are keeping track of turns because we are on 8 of 15. And what I was planning to do is just run around, kite the entire time until I get that off cooldown and go again, and then just reapply that life loss and keep running. And that was pretty much all my strategy was. And there you go. See, you can see the range of that ability. It's not doing massive damage there, but it does have a really solid range. You can see that doing 37 and 27. So having that extra 1,000 damage from the life loss, when you compare like an extra 60 damage that I'm getting out of my Divine Grace, is crazy. But keep in mind, my Divine Grace, I don't have a good bow, so his bow's like level 20, so he's not doing any damage anyway. But you can see the power of the life loss versus these type of situations. So now we're over here. That life loss is going to be gone. I'm just going to put this on to get the extra guard up, and we're looking pretty good. And he's going to come in. He's going to attack. This was lucky. This was lucky that he survived that. That was like a little bit of a misplay on positioning where I should have moved him further away and not attacked with him, but he did just survive, so we were okay in that situation. And then we got to here and I'm like, wait, I can just basically box this boss in and keep interrupting his alertness and we should be pretty fine. So that is pretty much what I went for. So as you'll see here, we're just going to sit there, put Mytha there, get the extra heal up, and this gives me the extra guard attempt. So now we can let him come up. You can see he's going for his alertness first up. That's cool. So now we can interrupt his alertness there. Perfect. Then we can attack again, get tiny little bits of damage in. He can stay there because my Mytha is going to do the protection on him. Once again, just re-enabling that. I probably didn't have to do that heal. That was probably just a stupid move. But once again, there you go. Mytha getting the protection in there, just taking the hits. Perfect. That guy goes up there. Now we are in a perfect position because this guy has got such a low movement range. And then on top of that, I've got a knockback. So he's just never going to get to me over here. And the boss is never going to reach the rest of my team. And he's never going to one-shot my Mytha. So we are in basically what is the perfect situation where we cannot lose from here. So you can see we get the knockback. He's got to step over the box to get that movement range as well. So he's just basically never going to go more than 2 tiles. And so now you can see we're just going to spam basic attack, boss attacks, we reflect, boom, job done. And as you can see, like there's just no issues here. There we go. We get the kill on the boss. And then we get the kill on him, and happy days. So that is a look at the team. Like I said, when I did my team building video, it's very hard to say this is like the best team because teams for like the basic Fool's Journey are always going to be different to Trial of the Tower. What is it? I just read Trial of the Tower. Whatever the tower is, Tower Conquest? Dude, I can't even remember what it's called. But they're always going to be different because in the tower, because you also have debuffs, which I didn't actually show you guys that one. I probably should have shown that at the start so you guys had some reference of what the debuffs were so you knew. So this one was when the battle starts, they get a magic shield equal to 20%. When they have the magical shield, they take 80% less physical damage. Once again, that didn't really matter because we were doing the life loss damage and we were also doing the knockoffs for our kills as well. And then we get on our side, reduces attack by 20% for each tile the character moves before attacking, increases damage by 40% instead if no movement was made before. So because we're using that life loss again, I'm pretty sure, 90% sure, that it doesn't get affected by the movement beforehand. I think that dot is like based on the magic attack, so it doesn't have that the effect of this. I could be wrong, but it was still doing massive damage even though I moved 1 tile before I used it. So that's just a look at that. But that was the buffs. Like I said, you got to pay attention to the buffs. You got to pay attention to the map and the enemies that you have on the map. But I do think using that talent that allows you extra movement and then using the life loss and a bunch of knockbacks is always going to be a pretty solid sort of strategy for this harder type content to go ahead and push through. Now I'll quickly show you guys the builds that we were using. If we go over here and we take a look, so Lash was using this build. I basically just stole my what's her face, my Beryl's gear off for Lash, so she actually did have a good weapon, which is helpful for getting her attack up for that life loss damage. Then we had her, she's on her standard healing set. I just slapped my my Gloria's gear on him because she had the spear. He had this, which is just scrap basically. And then who was the other member of the team? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, Divine Grace. Yeah, he just had scrap. So that was all of them. That was their builds. That was what I was doing. But yeah, and it's pretty easy just to swap around gear. If you only have 5 sets of gear made, you just swap around those the two gearing slots, and then your weapon. Obviously, you got to have a weapon for each type. I still don't have a good wand, a good bow, or a good spear, so I'm waiting to hopefully pick one of those up soon, and then I can use more characters more efficiently. Like my archers just have no use for me at the moment in terms of raw damage. All they have is utility value because I just don't have the weapons that I need to be able to upgrade to get that out of them. As you can see, we got like 3 axes, we got 3 swords now, and we have no other weapons, so hoping RNG can give us some luck. But that's a look. Let me know if you like this type of thing, showing different type of characters. I am going to try all the tower -5 stages. I'm going to try doing them all with full free-to-play units, being units we either get for free or epic units. I know some people, once again, might not have some of these epics, but eventually most people will, and you know, we've got to be using something eventually. So I will try and do that and update you guys as we go and spotlight as many characters as I can. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.